Now this video isn't about getting in the car and travelling to see Grandpa. This is about your ability to interpret jazz standard progressions quickly by understanding typical movements. Focusing today on movements to either the relative, major or minor. In this lesson we're going to look at how this relationship works, how you can spot it in standards, and how by interpreting chord movements like this you can more easily understand what's going on in a jazz standard. And in jazz standards we will often hear movements to the relative, major or minor for a change in feel within a song. And if you're going to memorise chords, if you're going to memorise songs, and you're going to play with them convincingly, it's important to understand these typical movements which are happening. Because you can do things the hard way and treat all of these songs as separate entities, but really they're all linked in some way or another through repeated structures, which once you start to spot, it just makes it so much easier to learn more and more repertoire, which will increase the speed at which you can learn songs and learn how to play over them. Now, on to the lesson. What is the relative, major and minor? Most guitarists first encounter this with things like, a guitar teacher or someone saying, oh, C major is the same as A minor, G major is the same as E minor. Those are the sort of two common ones most people learn first. And what does it mean? Well, it means that if you've got C major, so there's our C major scale, it's the same set of notes as A minor. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Same set of notes, but we're starting at a different point from within it for the minor. Same goes for G major. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, E minor, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. Comes back to, you've got a song in C major, you could either play a C major scale over it or an A minor scale. If you've got a song in G major, you could play a G major scale or an E minor scale. This means if a song is in the key of C major, your A minor scale will work over it, and vice versa. This also applies to minor and major pentatonic scales. Take an A minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G, A. The relative major of A minor is C major, C, D, E, G, A, C. Same notes, different starting point within the sequence. Now whilst those pairs of scales all share the same notes, there is a difference between them, and that is the intervallic distance. If you do this on one string, it's easier to see. So C major goes tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Whereas A minor goes tone to A to B, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. So the intervallic construction of the scale is different. Now how can you learn which ones are related to each other? Now there's several ways you can do this. A really simple way is to just get a circle of fifths diagram like the one I put on the screen. The outer circle is the major keys, and on the inside you've got the related minor key. And obviously it works the other way, so if you go from A minor, the relative major is C. So that's a good reference tool. If you want to just find it on the neck though, if you find C on the E string, you just have to move down 3 frets to fret 5 to work out the relative minor. You could do that anywhere, so you can move down a minor third. So if I started on a D, I'd move down 3 frets to fret 7, and that will be a B. So B minor is the relative minor. Works the same way backwards, obviously. So if I was in B minor and I wanted to know, what's the relative major? Move up 3 frets to D, and that's the relative major. So that's one way people work it out. That's how I certainly worked it out to begin with when I was first getting to grips with this stuff. Another way you'll hear it described is that the relative minor is the 6th chord, a chord bit off the 6th note of the C major scale. So if you take the C major scale and harmonise it into chords, we get C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, that's chord 6, B minor 7 flat 5 back to C major 7. So it was that chord 6, A minor, our relative minor. How is this information useful when it comes to learning jazz standards? So if we've got a tune in a major key, we might find the chords working their way to the relative minor, and if we're in a minor key, we might find the chords travelling to the relative major. Simple as that. This might be just for a few bars, or it could be for a whole section of a tune. And understanding this will help you understand why the chords move like they do. But how do we travel, if we're in a major key, how do we travel to the relative minor and vice versa? Well, the typical way, not always, but the main way would be with a 2-5-1. So a major 2-5-1 or a minor 2-5-1. Let's pretend we're in A minor and we want to go to our relative major, which is C. So we go A minor, that could be 2 bars, say, that's the key. But then we go D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So we've gone to our major relative, if you like. Let's flip it the other way. So if we're in the key of C major, so let's pretend we've got 2 bars of C major 7. So that could be our major feel, that establishes the key. Then to get to the relative minor, go. If I need to get back to major, 2-5-1 in key of C. So that's one way we can move to these relatives. We can use the 2-5-1 that's appropriate. So if it's a major, if you want to move to the relative major, you're in a minor key, you need the 2-5 of the relative major. If you're in a major key, you need the 2-5 of the minor, of the relative minor. So, you know, a minor 2-5 in the key of A minor is B minor 7 flat 5 E7 to A minor, which is why we use that just then. Now let's look at some jazz standards for some examples of moving both to the relative major and relative minor. Now 3 great standards that do that is Georgia on My Mind, There Will Never Be Another You, and There Is No Greater Love. So the first line of Georgia on My Mind does the major to relative minor. So it goes 1 bar, F major 7, then a 2-5 in D minor to get to the relative. Nice movements after that again, but so that's chord 1, but then we go, oh, we're going to work our way to the relative minor for a really nice feel and a nice movement. So that's a minor 2-5-1 to the relative minor. There's many songs which use that movement. Another song which uses exactly the same movement, There Will Never Be Another You, a great standard. So that's in the key of E flat, and it goes E flat major 7, D minor 7 flat 5 G7 to the relative minor of C minor 7. Now, the song then doesn't stay there for a while or anything. Neither of those songs hang about on the relative for a long time, but it's just a way to move to another chord which is strong within the key, and it's a very strong movement. That pull with the minor 2-5 in both of those instances, it's a really satisfying move, and both those songs then go off in different directions, but hopefully it helps you understand why it does that and why it works. Another song that moves to the relative minor is There Is No Greater Love. Now in Georgia and There Will Never Be Another You, it was more like just it moves to that relative minor just briefly, and it's just a nice movement. In this song, we're going to move to the relative minor for the B section. So we have an A section which is in B flat major, but then we go to the relative minor, which is G minor. So if I play the last bit of the A section and go into the B section, you'll hear this. So we're in B flat major, up now, B section. So a very different feel. We're in a nice minor feel, but we need to go back. I'm going to use dominance to do that as ever. Da, 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 da. We're back to B flat major. What happened there, when we hit the B section, we went for a 2-5, minor 2-5 in G minor. So A minor 7 flat 5, D7 to G minor. So the whole section, that B section, is in G minor if you like. So moving to the relative minor for an entire part, then go back to the next A section, back to the major tonality. And what that gives you is it gives you the A sections which have that major feel quite bright, and then this B section which is really contrasting because it goes to the relative minor. Now, it's not super contrasting, like, you know, you have songs which change key for the B section. Say, for instance, check out In a Sentimental Mood by Duke Ellington, you know, changes key for the B section. It does go to a major tonality, but it also changes key. Whereas with this one, it's just going to the relative minor, but it creates a different feel. Have a listen to the song, and you notice that part of the section sounds different to the A section, which is great because it makes distinct sections, and it makes it quite fun to play over because you can create a different feel over both the A and the B section. Now, 3 jazz standards in a minor key that move to the relative major: Lullaby of Birdland, My Funny Valentine, and I Found a New Baby. So first example with the minor song moving to the relative major, Lullaby of Birdland by George Shearing, one of my favourite jazz standards, is in the key of F minor. Now the relative is A flat major, so we're going to go F minor, D minor 7 flat 5, G7 flat 9, C7, do the same to start with, but then B flat minor 7, E flat 7, taking me to A flat major 7. So has a really dirty feel, this bit, like, but then uplifting here when you get to this bit's in A flat major, but then we've got to work our way back to there. So it's a nice thing, so it goes minor to the relative major, then back to minor. So we're in F minor, 2-5-1 to A flat major, 1-6, 2, 5, back to A flat major, but then we're going to work our way back with a minor 2-5-1 back to F. So hopefully you can really hear that there, how it moves really nicely. And again, it's just using 2-5. So we're stuck in this sort of minor turnaround, which is really nice, really fun to play over. But then via this 2-5, we land on A flat major, and we get a very different feel as a result for that part. Great tune, check it out if you've not learnt that one before. Nice old swing number that's in a minor key that goes to the relative major is I Found a New Baby. So this is in D minor, relative major is F, and we're going to sort of bring the A section to a close on going by moving to the relative major, and then pull back to work our way back to go into the relative minor. D minor, A7, D minor, D7, G7, C7 to F. So there, where we land on there. So via this dominant chord here. This A section kind of feels like, to me, we're always sort of working to get to that F. You know, it feels like it's got to go somewhere. Which it does when it gets here now. But then it goes back via dominance to get back to our relative minor. So that sort of flips between the two. You briefly resolve to F major, and then you're straight back in the minor feel. Now, next one we're going to look at is My Funny Valentine, and I'll put this on the screen because we're going to look at all of this. So I'll play through this. Now we're in C minor, and the B section moves to the relative major of E flat major, which why it has a completely different feel. So we've got C minor major 7. So we're very much in a minor feel here. C minor 7, C minor 6. D minor 7 flat 5 and the G7 flat 9 to get back to C minor for another pass of that A section. So now you're coming to the end of the first A section. A flat major 7, F minor 7, F minor 7 flat 5 to B flat 7, which is the dominant 7th of the relative major. So we're then now in E flat major, which is our relative minor. So it's quite uplifting, this bit, compared to the A section because it's in a major section. But we work our way back here via this G7 to C minor. Nice passing chords into that A flat major 7. Then the really serious heavy minor 2-5 back to C minor. So there, we're back, you know. But briefly, that when we went to that E flat major, God, if you listen to the song with the lyrics, it is a very different point in the song. But knowing that kind of thing, knowing this information helps you understand what does that E flat major relate. How does it relate to, you know, where we started, and why have we moved there, and why, you know, and how are we going to get out of it. That's what all this stuff is useful for. For me, this knowledge is so useful, and you really want to learn to spot it, apply it, understand it, because it helps you predict where songs might move, where they go to in terms of chords. It helps you understand why the chords in a song are like they are, but it also helps you see how songs flip between major and minor tonality, even though, you know, the key signature and the key song will go like, oh, it's in the key of F. But you may very well have a section which is very much minor, go into the relative minor, which is D minor in that instance. As ever, the role of the 2-5-1 is really important in pushing songs in different places. So if you're not really sort of that familiar with those, or you feel like you could learn more, then be sure to check out my video on the major 2-5-1 and the minor 2-5-1. If you have any questions or any comments about today's lesson, then leave them below. Please hit the like button, it really helps boost views. And also, if you're new here, my name's Andy, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe for jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and Saturday. Until next time, see you soon.